Hey, you guys, I'm Allie Colleen, and you are listening to Hank's Corner with Hank Jr. and myself. Come along.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Hank's Corner. I'm your host, Hank Jr., part of Hank Jr. Productions, where I'm documenting life's moments through photography, videography, and now over 120 episodes in podcasting. And today I'm very excited about the guest that I have on. Her recent song, While We're Still Friends, featuring Lee Brace, is doing awesome out there. Almost 200,000 streams alone on Spotify. Please welcome to Hank's Corner, Allie Colleen. Allie, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. And I know when people usually introduce you, they have a little bit of trouble with Colleen. I should not have trouble with that because one of my daughter's middle name is the same. And that's how we pronounce it as well, as Colleen.
Where does that come from for her?
So we adopted several kids, and we decided to just because my wife's got an Irish background to pull some Irish names and kind of throw them in, and she got Colleen.
I'm not sure if Colleen is also used in the Irish vernacular for those, for that name, but I never run into Colleen's. I always run into Colleen's. So I think that's beautiful. I love that. My grandma was Colleen. So very sweet. What's your daughter's first name?
So my daughter's name is Isabella. So it's Isabella Colleen.
That's very pretty.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, you're named after your grandmother, and I guess she was very particular about making sure you pronounced it that way, correct?
Well, she was like, I don't know that she was, but she was Colleen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, so that's what mine is. I don't mind when people say it wrong. But obviously hosts and stuff, that's way different. You know what I mean? When fans and stuff think it's Colleen, that makes sense because I've never met a Colleen. I meet a lot of Colleens. But it is kind of funny when like you're being introduced on stage for like your own show and they say your name wrong. I think it's very humorous, but it's kind of like, come on, guys. Job.
And especially when the press release and everything comes out, I mean, they tell you it's Colleen because it sounds like Jolene. And I know you've sung that song a couple times, and when you're talking about how it sounds. So
in the early days, we made tank tops that said Allie Colleen, 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 and then on the back it said like Jolene but with a C, and it had like the pronunciation key with it, and they were fun. I really liked those.
Wow, pretty cool. So I guess they're a hot item now because you can't get them anymore then, huh?
Well, once we sold out of them, we just didn't print them anymore. So we need to make them again. But with that said, I also confuse people because then people think it's spelt like Jolene, but with a C, and it's not. Sometimes it's not helpful. Sometimes it is. You live and you learn.
That is true. And, people that have been following me know that I'm coming from a little corner in the Tampa Bay area in Florida. Where are you calling in from today?
I am calling in from Nashville, and believe it or not, we have a 71-degree day today.
Oh, that is nice.
Greatest thing. It was freezing yesterday, and I took the longest nap on my hammock today, and it was magical. But I live in Tennessee. I moved here when I was 17 to go to college, so this will be my 10th year here, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, the time has flown by for those years, and I remember going out to Belmont College out there and studying, and time just flies by. But we'll catch up on that as well. But you're an Oklahoma girl, correct?
Yes.
And I know there's huge differences between Oklahoma and Tennessee. But what are some of the things about Oklahoma that you miss, and some things about Tennessee that you're just glad to have?
Man, I'll be honest, Oklahoma, I miss my sisters and I miss my mama. You know what I mean? Like I miss my family that's there. I don't miss a lot about Oklahoma. I really don't. I miss the sunsets. We don't have those kind of sunsets here. Our sunsets here are beautiful, but we're kind of in a valley. The Nashville skyline's getting real wild. We've got 18 new buildings in our skyline now. It just it doesn't look like it used to. Yeah. So I miss that huge open sunset that you get in Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Because obviously there's nothing in the way. It's flat, it's paper, and it's wild. So I miss that. And I miss my people. But I'll be honest, I don't really miss them. There was a simple mindset to it, and that was kind of cool. And I do appreciate that. But I really enjoy being in a town of just eclectic minds, right? Like everybody here in Tennessee is not from here for the most part. We call people that grew up here, unicorns and dragons. It's just you don't meet a lot of
Hmm.
natives from here, especially like in Nashville. So I just love the differences of people. I love that I'm not the weird music kid here. I mean, I am, but we all are, which is really opposed to like the kid that had a dream back in Oklahoma where everyone kind of just, patted you on the back and was like, good luck with that. And
Right.
something so encouraging about being here. I have horses here, and riding horses in Tennessee is way cooler than riding horses
Oh.
in Oklahoma because you actually have like a topography to, go and explore. So I'm a big fan of Tennessee. I really
Yeah,
do
I
like it.
did. I did hear that you had some horses out there, and that always makes me jealous when people have horses because, I've
Mhm.
had to got to do it in the past, but being where I am in Florida, although if I go a little further, there's a bunch, but where I'm at near the
Yeah.
Tampa, there's not going to be much horses around here, so I do have to travel out to the country. But I'm glad that you're making it home. You love it there. I love going to Nashville any chance I get. So, good for that. But let's talk about your latest single that you have out. Tell us a little bit about this because it's doing really well.
We're very proud of how it's done. So I have as you mentioned, a song called "While We're Still Friends" that I wrote with Lee Bryce and Sarah Bryce. I've been writing with Sarah for years. She was a writer on several of the songs today that we'll talk about and play. But we sat down in February of 2021, and we're just kind of talking about life and everything that was going on. And at the time, I was in a very kind relationship that just wasn't going anywhere. And while we're still friends is just all about that kind of just that piece of limbo, right? Where you're like, we know this isn't going to work out. We love each other. Everything's, fine. There's nothing bad. And it just really pays honor and homage to that season of limbo that everybody at some point in life goes through, if not 100 times, one time, of just realizing that it's just not going to work out. And I'm very, very proud of this song for a lot of personal reasons as well. But that's kind of like what it's about. That's the storyline of how we wrote it and where it came from. Lee was kind enough to produce this song for me, as well as two other songs that I have called Halos and Horns and Feels Like. So I got to work with Jared Neiman and Lee Bryce as producers for these songs, which was incredible. I think one of the strongest things that I've learned in Nashville is it is such an honor and a privilege to be the worst person in a room. You just get to sit and learn, you know what I mean? And every now and then you get to surprise somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been such a blessing. And those two men are two of a handful of people that have really just mentored me and intentionally, taught me and intentionally were brave enough to be themselves so that I could learn what parts fit me and what parts didn't. You know what I mean? So working with Lee on this has been incredible. And then we just got off the road. We had 6 dates on the Lee Bryce tour that he's currently on. He's finishing it up right now, and they were just acoustic dates. So he was acoustic and I was acoustic, and
Oh,
which is the coolest thing on the planet because to any artist that means you're playing theaters. You know what I mean? That means
yeah.
you're playing rooms that are built for sound, and that is just a privilege that actually a lot of us performers don't have. When you really think about it, we're playing in boxes of bars, and if you're lucky enough, big metal stadiums and arenas, you know what I mean? Just places that were not sonically built for sound. And theaters, oh, it's like just having ice cream for breakfast. It's just like this treat that is just the greatest thing on the planet. So all that to say, we did 6 shows in six cities up in the Northeast. And they were all beautiful. And I would do my opening set, and then at the end of the night, towards the end of the set, Lee would bring me back out, and we would get to perform the song together, which was also just another just magic. It was very cool, but very proud of the song, very proud of how it's doing. It was our first time making a music video as well, so we did that for this song as well, which I'm very proud of. A lot of really cool things with this release, a lot of growth for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I know I'm enjoying it. And I'm a little jealous that I couldn't be there, at least as a fly on the wall, where you guys performed that. But let's go ahead and play while we are still friends here on Hank's Corner.
If only we could stop this moment. Forget the clock, pretend it's broken. And by the way, you look great tonight. Looking and they'd never know it, but we both know where this is going. But we don't wanna say goodbye. So while we're still friends, while we're still here, before the last thread of us forever disappears, before we let go, give me your hand. Let's make the most of what we can while we're still friends. Remember our first trip to Austin? You took me to your favorite concert, and I can still hear you laugh. So while you got your arms around me, why don't we make one more memory that feels just like that? While we're still friends, while we're still here, before the last thread of us forever disappears, before we let go, give me your hand. Let's make the most of what we can while we're still friends. While we're still friends, while we're still here, before the last thread of us forever disappears, we're not giving up, just giving in. So just make it the most of that we can while we're still friends.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. along with my special guest, Allie Colleen, and you just heard her recent single, Why We Are Still Friends, featuring Lee Bryce. And, those names that you dropped there, great names, great talented people that, like you said, to be the least talented, and I know because you're complimenting them quite a bit, it's definitely a great to get to work with them, and, how awesome that is for you to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious though. I want you to take me back. Usually the second section, I always talk to the artist and kind of figure out, how did you get started in music? Who were some of your early influences, and what made you ultimately decide, hey, I'm going to pursue this as a career?
Everyone always thinks it's so wild. To me, it's just what it was. I started writing songs when I was probably 8 years old. You could probably call them jingles, you know what I mean? But I started writing when I was really young and just loved it. Just that whole idea of just being able to create characters and narratives. And also, I don't feel like, even to this day, I don't feel very comfortable or very good at talking about how I feel about something going on in my life. And so I learned really, really young that I could just create characters, right, that experienced the same thing. And people were much more receiving of it, than they would be to hear me talk about myself. And so writing has just been a little therapeutic thing that's really helped me connect with people since I was really young. As we mentioned earlier, I chose at a very young age that I was going to go to Belmont University here in Nashville, Tennessee, because they had a songwriting program as like a focused major, which was incredibly cool for me. Belmont University is kind of known for its music business degrees. And so the songwriting degree, people always ask, like, what is that? It's literally just the music business degree with like writing classes that are catered to
Mhm.
songwriters and what we do as far as like publishing law and a lot of the business side of what it means to be a commercial songwriter for a living. It's not, and it is equally as creative, right? There's writing courses for sure, but a lot of it, again, is like logistically how being a songwriter as a career works in this town. So it was actually very cool and very challenging. Um, and just fell in love with it. And so I was brand new to the business when I moved to this town. I really didn't know that much about it. Like we said, I grew up in Oklahoma and I had a sport family. We all played sports. That was our thing. And so it was very cool to get to come to Nashville and to meet other musicians and my family plays music and all that stuff, but it was never really anything that we did together. So I
Mhm.
always, I think it's always kind of assumed that I knew a lot about the business or how it was going to work before I came, and I didn't. And I'm grateful for that because I kind of just got to learn as I went. And graduated from Belmont in 2018 and started putting music out after being on the road for a year. So we've been putting music out since 2019 and been touring and playing and doing acoustic shows, full band shows, all that kind of stuff since that time as well. And just, there's never enough to learn, especially when you throw in the beast of social media. But
Oh yeah.
um, it's been an incredible ride so far and just something I've always cared about. But I will say I didn't start playing guitar until I was 14. And I think
Okay.
that's really when the songs like came together and you had a full song you could play for somebody opposed to like making someone just listen to you sing by yourself. You know what I mean? So I'm
Right.
always a big advocate for learning an instrument.
Yeah, and we're going to get back to the sports and we're going to get back to the guitar because I got some questions that came in about the guitar. But I want to go back again to when you're talking about you're 8 years old and you're writing songs or, as you said, jingles. Do you remember the first song that you wrote?
I do.
And is it something that you make public or is it something that just keeps private?
Well, the first song I wrote that I remember writing before I learned guitar, it's funny now because as an adult, I can kind of go back and pinpoint songs that I'd taken things from. So I was a huge Jody Messina and Jamie O'Neill fan growing up. Um, Loved Cher, loved Michael Jackson, very pop influenced, as well as female country influenced. There wasn't a lot of male country influences going on. For me commercially outside of like my dad was a huge Keith Whitley and like Randy Travis fan.
Mm,
But outside of that, he stuck to like Queen and Seal and Kansas and that kind of stuff. So I think Keith Whitley and Randy Travis and James Taylor, who I still consider a soul pop guy, but some people like to throw James into this country world. But I think a lot of those narratives was kind of what it pulled from. But as far as guitar goes, the first song I ever wrote when I finally learned it was called Sweet Melodies, and I can play it to this day. I do it sometimes when I have only acoustic shows and it's more of like a seated audience where like we talk just like you and I are doing, and I'll take them from the first song I ever wrote to like the most recent song I've ever wrote, and I still play it to this day. It was about a boy I'd met on the internet. You know what I mean? It's so silly and it was so fun. But I, to this day, every now and then someone at a show will request Sweet Melodies because they've either seen it at a show or something like that, or they knew me as a kid. And that's very wild to me that a song that I wrote when I was 14 is
yeah,
such
that's really cool because I've talked to a lot of artists and some of them kind of remember, but a lot of them tell me, oh, I had a notebook, before obviously the phones that you put a lot of notes on the phones, and I lost it. I wish I still had it, and that's great that you still can
I
even
do.
play it to this day.
And I still remember the little jingle that I wrote when I was 8. Like I do remember that one as well. And just how silly it was and how sweet it was, and how, awful it was. I remember that. Sweet Melodies just says Sweet Melodies, I think 5 times for the chorus. I think that's very sweet, and just did my best. So I love that. Little Allie, I'm just as proud of her then, now, and forever. I think it was very cool to have something like songwriting growing up, you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. And, we all have to start somewhere. And, it kind of disappoints me when artists take their early stuff off the internet because it doesn't mesh with their brand. And, I don't think that it does. I just think it gives it a little bit more insight into the artist when they have that up there than as opposed to a commercialized look. But, as far as branding is concerned, obviously, you've had a grandmother and a father that are well known in the industry. How hard has it been for you to create your own brand? And do you think that you've been successful so far? Or do you think you still have a while to go?
I think I'll battle it for the rest of my life, but I think that's internal. You know what I mean? I think it means more to me than it does to anybody else, and I don't think, I think a lot of people, actually over the past, a lot of people have gotten really frustrated at the fact that I don't use a family name or really talk about my dad as an artist, ever. Because they just think it's so cool, and from an outside perspective, I'm right there with them. As a fan, I'm like, no, that's the coolest thing on the planet. I want to be a part of that. Like, very proud. But I also am so proud of my dad and my grandma to the point that I want to be just like them. And I don't think people realize that. I don't think people realize that Allie Colleen wanting to make Allie Colleen a household name has everything to do with my dad and everything to do with my grandma. You know what I mean? Like, they worked their tails off, started from nothing, worked their tails off. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So in a lot of ways, I do pay so much respect and homage and points to my family because I'm doing what they did. You know what I mean? And I think that gets confused sometimes for people, as if I don't, want to associate myself with my family or something. But, it's just tough. I remember my first spelling test, which I nailed it, by the way. I got 100, spelled it, crushed it. The kid next to me, we all got our spelling test back, right? And he goes, well, of course you got 100. Like, you have a famous dad. And I just remember looking at him and going, you spelt beans wrong, bro. What are you talking? Like, what are you mad at me for? And just ever since then, it's like, it's just so frustrating working so hard and being as talented as I believe that I am, and always receiving, oh, well, of course she's doing well. She is a famous parent. Or of course she's going to sing. She has a famous parent. I have 2 other siblings. They don't do music at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just, I think I have a lot of pride when it comes to that, and then maybe even a lot of ego. And I just really want to be recognized for what I've worked for on my own, just like my dad. You know what I mean?
That's awesome to hear. And I think this would be a great time to play Wildflower here on Hank's Corner.
I remember it like a storybook. Every page the way my mama looked. Dirty knees and that sun-hat smile. Off the bus, trouble on my mind. The kids were never much a friend of mine, but mama's words made it all alright. She said you were never meant to fit in with the roses and a bouquet. It's okay, girl, to stand out in the sunlight. Soak up the rain, feed your sweet soul. Grow, baby, grow, wildflower. I wanna be known as beautiful, but that don't mean I'm gonna sell my soul, paint my leaves just how they like. I'm miles away and I'm missing home. The city's loud and the lights are cold. The kind of place a wildflower don't belong. 'Cause I was never meant to fit in with the roses and the bouquet. It's okay, girl, to stand out in the sunlight. Soak up the rain, feed your sweet soul. Grow, baby, grow, wildflower.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. You just heard Wildflower by my special guest, Allie Colleen. I'm Hank Jr., part of Hank Jr. Productions, where I'm documenting all these life moments. And, let's talk a little bit about your songwriting process. How does that kind of work? I know we got a question from Ivana out of Las Vegas, that says, how do you decide what songs to, put out and what songs to keep to yourself? So tell us a little bit about that backstory.
I think, in the beginning, so songwriting is always different, right? Everyone's always like, what do you start with, melody first? Do you start with an idea first? Like, how do you do it? And it's like, honestly, at this point, we're just throwing spaghetti on the wall and we're just seeing what sticks. And every day is so different, and every co-writer is so different. And some days we're writing something that I brought in that I care about. Some days I walk in a room and I said, guys, I ain't got nothing. I've got no inspiration going on. I don't even know what I care about right now. What do you guys care about? And someone will bring in a hook that they've had forever, or whatever the case may be. When it comes to what songs are put out and what songs are held on to, because, a lot of songwriters write anywhere from 60 to 80 to 150, 200 songs a year. It's always different for everybody and their schedules. I write less now than I used to. But when you talk about branding, as we've already kind of talked about, and just like really honing in on yourself as a product, like when you want to be a commercial artist, I really do believe you are no different than a bottle of lotion when it comes down to branding and like how you advertise yourself and what aligns with your core values of your product. So for me, we're really settling into and loving this outlaw women country space, right? So all of our songs that we're picking now tend to land down those narratives of just independent women, just doing their thing. No disrespect to the men ever. Love you guys. But just powerhouse women, right? It's kind of what I surround myself with here. So songs like that we've played, just like Wallflower, that just speak to who I am as a person, even though it's still a little sweet. Songs like While We're Still Friends, that just speak to the courage to, choose yourself selflessly and to go forward. So our branding is really centered around Allie and what she would do and what she would say. And I think that at the end of the day, I'm never going to put out a song that I wouldn't say. You know what I mean? As beautiful as the song may be, as special as the narrative might be, and as needed even as the song might be commercially, I think there's always going to be an artist who it will truly fit. You know what I mean? So I will never put out a song that I wouldn't say.
Yeah, and thank you to Ivana for that question coming in. And you alluded to earlier that you had an outlet to be able to write down your emotions, whether it's just in a poetry formation or it led to music. How hard is it for you to release songs that may have a very personal aspect, or is that something easy that, hey, you know what, I wrote it, it sounds good, I'm going to put it out? Because I know some people are very guarded.
I think for me, I'm an open book. You can cut me down the middle and look around all you want. I really don't care. But when it comes to protecting the other people, right? The other people that don't have a songbook, that didn't get to tell their side of the story, that is something I'm very protective about, because it could be very easy for me to go and write a song about what you did to me and put it out there and put it in the press release and tell everyone about you. And you don't have that same outlet. So that one's a little tough for me. And going back to While We're Still Friends, I was married. I actually filed a month after we wrote that song, because it was getting really hard for me to come home and sing songs about this complacent relationship space. And then kind of lie to my partner and say, oh, that was a co-writer's idea. Like, we're fine. Like, that was a co-writer's idea. Everything's good. So While We're Still Friends, we held on to for 2 years before we released it, to really allow that space to do its thing, and for them to be protected and to move on and to do their thing and not gloat about this relationship that had just ended. You know what I mean? And Lee adding his voice to the song actually was adding that second character that I'm so protective of, making it very clear that we both were in that together. We both were like, hey, while we're here, let's enjoy this and resolve it and figure it out. It wasn't me just, leaving somebody. It was both of us amicably deciding what's best for us. And I think when it comes to my own personal narratives, I really, really care about those characters. And I really care about my past partners and the roles that they played in my life. So, but when it comes to me, like if I'm just going to put out a song about Allie, I'm not going to keep anything back because I've struggled with mental health my entire life. And if there's anything in here that can help you, you can have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. And, I often talk a lot about mental health on my show, just because, I got, it's very near and dear to me. We'll say that. And, that'll be for a whole other possible episode at this point. But because I do want to come back to say, I'm very respectful of what you're doing about you saying you're protecting the other party. And not that it hasn't happened, but nobody has told me and all the, people that I've interviewed that they've done that. You hear songs that they put out, it could be breakup songs or, how the other person done wrong. And if it's based on a true story, I always used to say I never wanted to be a songwriter's significant other just because I'd be afraid of what they would say.
It's a dangerous world, right?
Yeah, but to hear you say that you protect that, that's awesome. And I definitely give you respect for doing that.
Thank you.
And, one of the songs that I really enjoy, personally, I mean, I told you off air that when I went back to prepare for this interview, I was like, man, I can't believe that all these songs that, over the years, that's what she's been putting out. Yeah. But one of them, Honest Man, kind of sticks out. Tell us a little bit about that one.
So I don't know that I will ever have children. That's not really, I don't have that bone in my body yet. But I have 2 nieces and 2 nephews. And I just think if I want anything at all for them, it is for them to go do whatever you want, right? Whatever it is, go do it. Shamelessly go do it. And I have this beautiful dream of my nieces, right? I don't want them to ever go to high school and think, oh, what if I don't get asked to prom? I just want them to go ask somebody to prom. You know what I mean? And my nephews, I love the thought of my nephew's partner coming up and asking them to prom. You know what I mean? And so Honest Man is how I would propose to a man. It's how I would ask somebody to spend the rest of our lives together. And I think that, again, I mentioned earlier, big fan of you fellas. I think you guys are great. And I think that the pursuit that you've always had to have towards women is beautiful and brave and awesome. And so I wanted to write a character that did the same thing. And we were really particular. I wrote this with Kate Hastings, who's one of my best friends, Lance Carpenter, and Big Benny. And the boys were kind of just in the room that day to listen. They threw in so many lines and so many of it stuck, and they did a great job. But most of the day, we just kept looking at them like, do you guys still feel big and strong? Like, would you say yes? And do you still feel big and strong? And they were always like, we're honored. Like, yes, I would say yes. And I think the only thing we ran into that day was the gentleman kept trying to paint her like a wild card, right? They kept trying to paint her like some crazy rebel woman who didn't follow lines and didn't do whatever. And I was like, no, this is a woman. This is a full-time stay-at-home mom. You know what I mean? Who just wants her partner to be with her forever or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of what Honest Man is about and the challenges that we reached writing it. But I'm so, so proud of Honest Man. And we've had a couple of people on social media use it to propose and stuff like that. And that has been wild for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it really could not have come out from anybody but you, I think. I think that's a perfect song for you. And let's go ahead and play Honest Man here on Hank's Corner.
Well, I ain't never met someone like you. You make me feel fragile and bulletproof. I give you the reins and you let me run free. It takes a man like you to love a woman like me, and I've laid this out in my mind 1,000 times. You say you love me, I'm calling you out. Let's set these plans with a storm. You say I'm the one that you can't live without, but without you I'm just skin and bone. Put this ring on my head, I'll make you an honest man. You pick the place and I'll meet you there. I'll walk down the aisle with a flower in my hair. And one day we'll start us a family. The father in you will make a mother in me, and I've laid this out in my mind 1,000 times. You say you love me, I'm calling you out. Let's set these plans with a stone. You say I'm the one that you can't live without, but without you I'm just skin and bone. Put this ring on my head, I'll make you an honest man. You say you love me, I'm calling you out. Let's set these plans with a stone. You say I'm the one that you can't live without, but without you I'm just skin and bone. Put this ring on my head, I'll make you an honest man.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. You just heard Honest Man by my special guest, Allie Colleen here. One of the things that obviously you can't go without talking about when you're talking to you is your tattoos. I mean, they're out there, you got a bunch of them. I'm curious, how many do you have total?
I don't want to lie to you, Hank, but I'm going to do my best. I haven't recounted in a while, but if this is one, right, and this is two, I think I have 27.
Okay.
I think. I love them. I love them so much. And I think people always ask, like, what's that about? Or where'd that come from? Or like, do they all have a meaning, right? Did that hurt? I get asked probably 7 times a day if that hurt. And at this point, people just walk up to you and point. You go, that hurt? Like, yeah. Yes, it did. It really did. But it kind of goes like around. But I remember being a kid. And seeing women specifically, but also men, just covered in tattoos and thinking, that is a walking art piece and like just a walking story. And like, I want to know what their breakfast order is. Like, I want to know everything about them. And I just always thought it was so cool. And so as much as most of my stuff really means something, I've also got ones that don't mean anything. And I think they look cool and I love them.
Yeah, it's definitely an expression of art. And I'll be honest, I mean, I've never really been fans of tattoos and I would never get one. And, and it's because I guess part of it, when I grew up, it just seemed like it wasn't really about an art, and I get it. It might mean something if there was a name or there was something like that, but it just never appealed to me. But, things have kind of changed and artists are just doing all kinds of crazy things with the tattoos. And, my opinion is a little bit changed, although I'll never get a tattoo no matter how much money you offer me. But, you did say that, some of them have significance. And, for those that can obviously see the one on your neck, did I hear something that came from Princess and the Frog?
Yes.
And I asked that because my wife's a huge Disney fan.
It's my Evangeline.
Yeah.
So it's a firefly. I cannot tell you, Hank, how many people bring me gifts to shows that are dragonflies or moths. I have a whole shrine at home of gifts from fans that are dragonflies or moths, and I've put a little rhinestone on all of their little, for lack of a better word, butt, because I'm like, nope, this is a firefly. And so I've had to change them all. But yeah, I'm in love with Princess and the Frog. We've mentioned mental health. It is my safe space. I watch it probably once a week when I get really overwhelmed or if I feel lonely or if I miss my family. Like it's just on in the background. I love that movie. And my record company is named
Mhm.
Evangeline Records for this. And so everything that we do incorporates the firefly for Evangeline. And I just think it's just, I'm a Disney, I would love to hang out with your wife because I am a little Disney buff. I love it so much. So all my gifts are either dragonflies, moths, or Princess and the Frog gifts, or really creepy gnomes. I don't know how that started, but I love it.
Yeah, that's a little different. Gnomes, you got all the other stuff and then gnomes. Although my son, he really likes collecting gnomes. It's kind of his thing. But I want to go ahead and play tattoos, and when we come back, we're going to have a little bit of fun and finish things up.
I love tattoos. Roll it.
Baby, it ain't no mistake. You know what you're doing, coming in here looking that way. I can be intimidating. You seem like the type of man that can take it. Baby, we could slip out of here to the back room. Bring me straight to my knees like a church pew. Push you up against the wall like I want to, 'cause I want you. I'm not trying to fall in love, give a f about us in a wrong way. Ain't trying to complicate a simple feeling, pull the trigger, put your hands on my body. Just a little taste, my heart ain't gonna break, chalk it up to being naughty. I wanna be all over you, like those tattoos. Come on, baby, concentrate. People gonna talk, let them watch, give them something to say. Go on, put me in my place. Show me you can hold it down, don't let me push you around. Please don't make me wait. I'm not trying to fall in love, give a f about us in a wrong way. Ain't trying to complicate a simple feeling, pull the trigger, put your hands on my body. Just a little taste, my heart ain't gonna break, chalk it up to being naughty. I wanna be all over you, like those tattoos. Maybe we could slip out of here to the back room. Bring me straight to my knees like a church pew. Push you up against the wall like I want to, 'cause I want you. I'm not trying to fall in love, give a f about us in a wrong way. Ain't trying to complicate a simple feeling, pull the trigger, put your hands on my body. Just a little taste, my heart ain't gonna break, chalk it up to being naughty. I wanna be all over you, like those tattoos.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. here with our last section with Allie Colleen. Having a great time talking with her. I'm so glad that you were able to do this. And, I always try to put out, when I can to solicit questions. And, we're getting some from all over. We get one that, or a list of them actually from David out of the UK over in England. He wants to know, what are some of the most memorable venues you've played at or your favorite ones? And which countries would you like to go and perform in?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we talked about this earlier. I'm a Tulsa girl. I was raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And our concert venue there, like for smaller, we have a big arena. We have the BOK, the big arena. But we have Kane's Ballroom. And Kane's Ballroom is just like this big empty dance hall. I saw Papa Roach there when I was 14. It was my first concert. And it was so much fun. I saw Cody Johnson there. Or I was 12 for Papa Roach. I saw Cody Johnson there when I was 15. And I am Alco because Cody Johnson is Kojo. I love Cody Johnson. I'm a huge fan. And I love what he brought back to commercial country music. And I just love it. So Kane's Ballroom, I got to open for Pat Green there one time.
Yeah.
I have yet to headline it, and it's my dream. So we're gonna hit Kane's Ballroom in the next year or two. It's my goal. Stoney's Rockin' Country in Vegas. Toad, shout out every single day. I love Toad. Toad is the the guy who gets me at Stoney's and, runs the place. And it's just, he's so kind. I mean, there's not a lot of venues where you get to spend the rest of the night, with the person who brought you there and just get to know the family. And Stoney's has had us, I think, 3 or 4 times maybe. And just absolutely love that venue. I got to open at the Bluestone for Carter Winter in Ohio, in Columbus. And it's very much Ryman vibes in the sense that it's like an old church. And it was just beautiful. I don't know if it was the fact that I got to be a part of a Carter Winter show because I'm such a fan, or if it was the venue. But I have talked to the purchaser there as well and talked about coming back as a headliner and just absolutely loved it. But I would absolutely die to do a UK tour. I studied abroad in both London and Ireland, and I would love to come back and play in Ireland. I would lose my mind if I got to play in Galway, or even like small pubs in like Killarney or something. Anything like that would be magical for me. I would love to play Belfast in Northern Ireland as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one of the partners that I have is from Down the Road Radio, which is an internet radio station out of Ireland. And so maybe we need to get that hooked up with you and get him to set up some places. I know I'd like to get back to Ireland and England. I haven't been there since 2008, so it's been a while. So if you make it over there, maybe I'll use that as an excuse to get over there at that time.
Yep. Ireland, and then I have a huge dream for either Brisbane or Sydney, but I would love to play Australia selfishly just because I have to see the reef before it's fully 3D printed. I have to see that reef before we completely mess it up. And oh my gosh, I would lose my mind. And the Australia Zoo. The Irwins, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, Australia is definitely awesome, and I do talk to a few people on the podcast that have come there. Actually, my more recent podcast was with one artist that's down in Australia, and it's just amazing some of the stories that they have. It's definitely a great place that I haven't been to that's on my bucket list as well. We got a question from Steve here in the Tampa Bay area. You kind of answered the first part of it, at what age you started playing the guitar, but what is your favorite brand of guitar?
I'm a Takamine gal. I love Takaminis. My guitar's name is Betsy, and she's a Takamine, and she's kind of the only one I really play for live shows. I've got a couple at home, that I play and do my thing with, but Takamine is very sweet. David Vincent from Takamine actually sent me a guitar one time, and I think I felt like the coolest kid on the planet. I do love Taylor's. But I think that's just more of just the songwriter in me, just always wanting to have a guitar that cost what a Taylor would cost. And just maybe one day making enough money off music to get one. So, but definitely Takamine.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Steve. Thank you, David, for bringing in those questions. And, one thing that I always would like to know, well, actually 2 things. So I always like to ask the artists, these kind of questions, but, you're very busy with music. I know, because every artist is. And if it's not specifically playing the music, it's learning, writing, it's social media, all that good stuff. But when you're not doing that, what are you doing for fun?
We mentioned my horses. So I love my horses. And I do that when I can. And I love being outside. I have a paddle board, and I spend every day when not even when the water is warm enough, but when it's warm enough outside, I spend every day on my paddle board that I can. I have an inflatable one that we take on the road in case we get an off day, and I can find water anywhere. I love water. I love hiking. I'm a big fitness person. I love the gym. But my thing outside of music is actually makeup, but not the makeup that people would think. I love like gore cosplay makeup. So anyone that follows me knows that we do Facebook Lives all through October. I would like to do them all year, but it's a huge break of the bank. Okay, this stuff is so expensive. So all October we do gore cosplays or just character cosplays, really anything. And I love that kind of makeup. I don't want to sit here and doll myself up to go out, but I want to sit here and make myself look like just your absolute greatest nightmare. I think that's just the coolest thing on the planet.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as a photographer, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of benefit to the other stuff that I take pictures of, but I always like the cosplay stuff. It's always the funnest for me. And Sarah Harrelson there in Nashville, she had a song out. I guess it was 2 Octobers ago. Called Purple Potion, where she got to dress up, and I did the photography and video. And to me, that's some of the funnest stuff to do. Is that cosplay stuff.
My photographers always are looking way more forward to me creating a character that I need shot than like my headshots and like album artwork. And me and Tony Sierra work a lot on cosplays alone, and we go find like old abandoned barns and stuff to go shoot in, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the other question I always have to ask is always about food, because that's what I'm always doing, I think, for fun. Whether I'm watching games, or I'm at a bar, there's got to be some kind of food that's involved. So tell me, what are some of your favorite foods? And I've been in Nashville a few times, and people have always suggested the hot chicken, and I get it. But if I do come to Nashville, what are some of the hidden gems that you would suggest?
So I know like sushi in the middle of Tennessee is probably not appealing to most people, especially being from Tampa, but I love sushi. I love sushi so much. And we have a sushi, that word's hard right now. We have a sushi train off in West Nashville. And it's just one of those restaurants where it has the conveyor belt of sushi that just goes around the whole place with like tons of different stuff on it. And you pay, what you pay for all you can eat sushi, and you just grab it and you just eat all night. My brother and I go, and we have to sit in the car for like 20 minutes before we drive home because we're just sick. Like, oh, it's just the greatest thing on the planet. When it comes to Nashville, I mean, we've just got, American bar food here, to be honest. That's kind of our thing. Some people talk about our barbecue, but really I'd leave that up to Memphis. I wouldn't really mess with it too much here. But it is all good. But I am a foodie. I'm arguably a trash can, to be honest. I will consume anything. I love food. But Scoreboard Bar and Grill is my favorite place to like go eat when it comes to just like Nashville food. And that kind of thing. But it's just like you said, just bar food. But it's good. It's good bar food.
Yeah, nothing like a good Friday night with some munchies and a drink of choice. And give it the chance somebody gets to come see you. What should they expect out of an Allie Colleen performance?
If it's an acoustic setting, we're going to tell a lot of stories, right? We're going to get to know each other really well, and I'm going to try and be funny, and we're going to talk a lot about the songs and what they are and what they mean, and I'll play songs for you and that kind of thing. My band setting is where I get to be Allie Colleen, in my opinion, in like her truest form. Our band setting is very big. It's very heavy. As I mentioned, Papa Roach being my first concert, I am a big alt pop punk kid. Like that's what I grew up on, was mainly Paramore and Evanescence and, just 3 Days Grace and Nickelback and all that kind of stuff. So if you can imagine that kind of music with country narratives, that's what we love to do. Songs like Halos and Horns, and songs like, Rolling Stone, like just these big songs, these big, again, just female anthem ballads, like what I grew up on with Cher and Kelly Clarkson and, again, Hayley Williams and Evanescence. So our band set's very big. Also at our live shows, my manager and I, we sell all of the merch ourselves. So there's usually always paid meet and greet options where it's very intimate. You can come back, I'll play a song for you, we'll get to know each other. And I think we really try and make it worth the cost. But with that said, I will sign everything that you come and buy. I'll take pictures with you all night long. I love to meet you guys. Like, I think it's the coolest thing on the planet to learn that something I did mattered to you. And also, I was a Renaissance Festival kid growing up. I loved Renaissance festivals. So with that said, if you bring me, we can trade, right? If you bring me a little item, I will always have something weird to give you. And it's usually always different. It could be a marble, right? It could be something. But if you've ever been to a Renaissance festival, you can trade with the fairies. And so you can come to my shows and you can trade with me.
Oh, that's awesome. And I hope at some point soon I get to see one of your performances, whether it's in Nashville or maybe you come down to the Tampa area. But that's one thing I do respect about you. We talked a little bit about that offline, is how you are with your fans. And that's just great to see that you're so intimate with them. But, Allie, thanks so much for coming on Hank's Corner. I really enjoyed getting to talk to you. And if you ever want to be a guest on Hank's Corner, you're more than welcome to do so.
Thank you, Hank. I would love to. I know there's a lot of artists out there that need promotion, but two are just talented, so thank you so much for allowing us to kind of sneak into your programming and be a part of your show. I really, really appreciate it.
I'm a Sunday morning sinner in a white church, on my knees praying till it hurts, in the back row with all the other lost souls. I'm a double shot of whiskey in a dive bar, a cowboy looking for a wild card I can take home. For the sun I'm long gone, boiling hot, I'm freezing cold, holding on, I'm letting go, and I don't know why. I can't pick a side. I'm a surefire bet, I'm a long side gambler. Easy to love, but I'm hard to handle now. I'm an angel mixed with a hell-bent rebel, got a heart of gold, I'm a silver-tongued devil, and I don't know why. I'm always torn between the halo and the horn. I'm an 8-second rider trying to make it last, a long haul trucker trying to get there fast, like a dust cloud only see me on my way out. Tougher than the leather in the Bible belt, softer than the petals of a mission bell. I'll make your blood burn, and you'll like it when it hurts. I'm a surefire bet, I'm a long side gambler. Easy to love, but I'm hard to handle now. I'm an angel mixed with a hell-bent rebel, got a heart of gold, I'm a silver-tongued devil, and I don't know why. I'm always torn between the halo and the I'm a surefire bet, I'm a long side gambler. Easy to love, but I'm hard to handle now. I'm an angel mixed with a hell-bent rebel, got a heart of gold, I'm a silver-tongued devil, and I don't know why.